I don't know, Morges. Just because we got out of the Inferno and we made it to Purgatory doesn't mean we made it to Paradise yet, and we still haven't gotten a chance to see Jesus, bro, yet. Do you know what are the angels gonna do to us, man, when they find out we've been negatively reviewing Christploitation films, even though they know that it's true what we're saying? Wait, what the hell am I talking about? Anyway, hey y'all, Boogie Night here. How's it going? And we are 2/3 of the way done with our Christploitation Trilogy. Now, Virgil and Dante, that is Morges and myself, have survived the Inferno, that is God's Not Dead 2, and have moved on to the Purgatory. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is a Christploitation film considered purgatory? Well, first of all, have you seen a review of God's Not Dead 2? I think any Christploitation film, including Second Glance, would have been better than God's Not Dead 2, or God's Not Dead 1 for that matter. But I digress. The movie that we saw was definitely not good, far from it, but it was definitely not bad either, despite the 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm talking about one movie only. Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. Go on, just take a second, let that sink into your head. I'll give you a moment. Okay, ready? So let's begin. This movie was about 80 minutes in length, and honestly, only about 45 minutes of it, if that, was considered plot. And I'm using that term very loosely. The other rest of the film is, we'll get into that. I don't even know where to begin with this movie, and frankly, I don't think Kirk Cameron knew where to begin with this movie either. I think he was given a budget, told to design a holiday-themed movie aimed at encouraging Christians to celebrate Christmas for what it truly is and convert people to Christianity, to celebrate Christmas and just roll with it. And he took that very loosely and thought, you know what? Let's take time to turn this into a softcore porno about his love for hot chocolate, and the rest of the movie can just be spent taking the piss. And that's really all it is. This was not aimed to be a comedy, but it was so over the top and out of left field that you cannot help but laugh at it, and it was just so bad it was downright precious. I mean, and I'll get into the plot in just a minute, but I want to start by talking about the characters. Just the main character, Kirk Cameron, his brother-in-law, Christian, insert film brain symbolism right here. The other characters, I mean, just all the other male characters that were over the age of 30 looked like pedophiles. I mean, with their creepy beards and goatees. Some of them had these really thick pedo lenses of glasses. Their sweaters were just creepy as hell, to the point they might as well be holding up a sign around the kids saying, "Ask me about free candy." Even the dude dressed up as Santa Claus had this maniacal, like, "Come sit in my lap, children." I would not have my niece go anywhere near him, and if he tried to offer that, I would throat punch him with a knife. That's just me, though. I mean, and just... that's just the characters by itself, and those are the main characters. And then you have these snatches of people that have no point to be there except for the, like, 2-second comic relief. You have the kids, which have nothing to do with it. It was like 20, 30 kids just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and I just couldn't help but think, yep, Christian family, every sperm is sacred. I think the only woman in the movie was the character's sister, who was also played by Kirk Cameron's sister, so, you know, go for gender equality in this film. But this movie had just so many subplot upon subplot that it was so confusing, to the point I think it made us dizzy at one point, but in a hilarious fashion. I'm gonna bash this movie, but it's not bad like God's Not Dead 2 or God's Not Dead 1 or Second Glance, which was pretty much a propaganda film. This was just kind of like lighthearted and just stupid, like it was not thought out. Like Kirk Cameron's word was just gonna be taken at it. No script was reviewed. Kirk just hired a bunch of his buddies and said, you know what, let's have some fun and be complete morons. I mean, it's the sort of stuff I would do, but not in a religious fashion. So it starts out with a 10-minute exposition dump of Kirk talking about why he loves Christmas. From the decorations to the lights, to the Christmas tree, to the presents under the tree, to the feeling that everybody is more giving and more kind and wants to treat their fellow humans with a little more kindness and respect. And it kind of builds you up a little bit. And then he talks about his love for hot chocolate to the point where he actually mouth fucks his hot chocolate mug in front of the camera. And that's not the first time you see that. There is a lot of mouth-fucking hot chocolate mugs and people talking about their burning desire for how good hot chocolate is. You know what? I like hot chocolate too. I think it's fantastic. You put a little bit of some peppermint extract in there, or if you want something that might stronger, a little bit of peppermint schnapps. It's really good. You know what else? I like Glühwein, but you're not going to see me around the holidays taking a mug of Glühwein and mouth-fucking it. As far as you're concerned. No, I'm just kidding. And so you've got this weird little dose of perverse comedy, and then he really takes it down a peg and starts beginning the traditional war on Christmas rant at commercialism, at atheists, at people who don't celebrate Christian for what it's truly about, the birth of Jesus. Which also, spoiler alert, did not actually happen on December 25th, where if you have a 2-digit IQ, you already know that. And you know what, Kirk? I hate to burst your hot chocolate bubble, but let's face it, Christmas is very commercialized. I'm sorry, but it is. Every store going back to... my birthday is in late August, and I remember just window shopping shortly thereafter on Labor Day at the local mall with Harkov, and we saw Christmas decorations up. It's never too late to actually max out your credit card to do that, but it's how stores hit the black. It's how they make their profit. I'm sorry, but commercialism is pretty much the economy nowadays, and if there's a holiday that they can exploit to get their sales up, they're gonna do it. And you know what? You don't have to be a Christian to celebrate Christmas. Yes, I understand that. There's Kwanzaa, there's Ramadan, there is the winter solstice for the pagans, there is Hanukkah for the Jewish people. Let people celebrate the holidays the way they want, Kirk. It doesn't have to be all about yourself. That is completely just dumbing down the spirit of Christmas when you're just thinking it should be about Jesus, it should be about the Christians. Not everybody believes, and not everybody is as hardcore as you. But I digress. So, his exposition dump is done, and it cuts to the start of the movie, where he's talking to his sister, looking for his brother-in-law. Once again, his name is Christian, and she talks about how he is not feeling the Christmas spirit this year. Cut to the brother-in-law, who looks like Walter White from Breaking Bad, sitting in a chair by himself, glaring at the kids running around, having a good time. To the hot chocolate pours, to the buddies. He's ignoring his buddy DeAndre, who starts going off into a conspiracy theory, which I'll get into later on. And towards the end of this little scene, he has this maniacal look of extreme anger on his face when you can't help but think he's going to start shooting up the place. Seriously, he's sitting there like... He's borderline hyperventilating. You hear little music and going around his ears. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna get dark quickly. But he doesn't. So Kirk decides he wants to go talk some sense into him. Goes into the room where he thinks Christian is, and this was literally the scene. He goes, "Hey Christian, who wants some?" He's not here. And he looks over the couch. And he goes, "Oh, just Bill on the couch." Cut to this old guy in a flannel just sitting there staring into space. And you only see him one more time in the movie. And I'm trying to laugh at this, not because it's funny, because you're just like, what? Oh, come on, dude. What does this have to do with anything? But he goes outside to look for Christian and finds Christian sitting in the driveway in his car. And at this point, I had actually messaged more guests and thought, well, it's too bad he's not in the garage and the engine isn't running. Damn. But basically, Christian goes into this tirade against Christmas and how it's no longer for Christians and blah, blah, blah. And he starts off with the birth of Jesus and how it doesn't occur in on December 25th, like I said. And this is when Kirk Cameron really goes off the rails. After listening politely to his rant, he's like, "You're wrong, Christian. You're wrong. I mean, I have expected Kirk to basically say, 'Open up your knowledge basket, bro, because here it comes. Bohica, bend over, here it comes again.'" And this is when it starts by talking about Jesus. And this whole bit of him trying to explain Christmas to him goes from what I can only describe as from birth to burial. And it gets dark right out of the gate. So Kirk talks about Jesus, and he talks about in the manger and blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about how they were in hiding because Herod wanted to kill Jesus for just being born and being the Savior. Cut to a scene of soldiers killing, screaming, and crying babies. Oh yeah, And you see fire in the background. You see shadows of soldiers stabbing up and down with their spears. I'm like, oh my God! Wow! You're really trusting to try and encourage the spirit of Christmas by showing dying babies. And then he talks about the swaddling clothing that Jesus was done in, and that the three wise men brought frankincense and myrrh. Cut to the part when he says that frankincense and myrrh are burial gifts, and the swaddling clothes was what Jesus was buried, wrapped around in, when he was crucified and died. So, this strange little bookend from swaddling clothes and burial gifts when he was born to bookending it at the end when he was buried. I don't know how exactly that correlates to celebrating Christmas, other than the fact that we know Jesus was born to die. And that seems to sway Christian just a little bit. And then he goes into it talking about pagan iconography and the winter solstice, i.e. the Christmas tree. Talking about the Druids, and talking about pagans, and talking about, his words not mine, things in Norway. Osiris. That's Egypt, bro. You gotta go a little further south. And of course, Kirk has a response to this, talking about how there were two trees in the book of Genesis and Adam and Eve. First of all, there were many trees in the Garden of Eden. And of course, the big tree was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, blah, 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 blah. Adam ate the fruit. No mention of Eve, by the way. He gets kicked out, and then they start talking about the tree of life. Now, I haven't read the Bible, and I'm not fully aware of the tree of life, other than just movies and other religious theories talking about the tree of life from different religions around the world. So, disclaimer on that. So, there might be a tree of life. I don't know. But this then turns into the fact that God had Christmas evergreen trees that priests decorated their temples with lights and decorations to celebrate religion in their temples and in their homes, much like the Christmas trees. But wait, it gets even better. He talks about how a tree was made to carve the cross on which Jesus was crucified, once again from birth to burial. So when a person sees a Christmas tree, they see a cross with Jesus on it. Oh my God. Like I said, this movie was just hilarious. And come on, that's funny. I don't care who you are, that's funny. I mean, seeing a Christmas tree to celebrate a very happy time of year. I mean, come on, there's a song called The Most Wonderful Time of the Year, and they see a man bleeding out on a cross with a crown of thorns on his head. I will never look at a Christmas tree the same way again. And if a child sees a Christmas tree, it's the same way, and they said Nicodemus, they didn't talk about Simon or Peter. They see the Christmas tree and they should do what the same thing happened when a person looked into the cave and saw Jesus had been resurrected. turn around and run. You know what? I would too. In the immortal words of Filter, did you hear the one about zombies? 3 days dead, then it's back to life. I mean, and that swings Christian just a little bit more. And then he goes into the final argument, which could have been out of God's Not Dead 2. I think Jesse Metcalf could have, taken some advice. Oh yeah, Santa Claus. Santa Claus is nowhere in the Bible, he says. Santa Claus is commercialism. Santa Claus leads the charge against Christianity, has basically sidelines the birth of Jesus because of him with his big red sack and reindeer and jumping down the chimney and so on and so forth. Hooray, capitalism and commercialism, destroying religion as we know it. Christian, you might want to look under your tree and see those little presents that you bought for your kids and your neighbor's kids and Kirk's kids. Yeah, you didn't think that one through, did you, bro? So, oh, and it goes even further to say that Santa, if you mix up the letters of Santa, spell Satan. Classy, right? You know what? The word listen, if you rearrange the letters, form the word silent. What does one thing have to do with the other? Nothing. I mean, God, you could take any person's name and rearrange it and it comes up as nonsensical, but dude, come on. Really? Cut the pills in half or take 2 pills and get back in the spirit, man. Maybe you missed your Christmas bonus. Maybe your wife didn't give you a little something in the morning. Maybe you're having a dry spell. Maybe you're just, feeling sick. Who knows, man? But come on. Comparing Santa with Satan? Dude, you're grasping at straws. But wait for it. Of course, Kirk has quite the rebuttal for this one and talks about St. Nicholas. And his version of St. Nicholas is not just him giving up presents to the believers, and only the believers, and the good little children. He beats the shit out of non-believers who don't believe enough. And it goes to a scene of this grizzled-looking person who could have easily been something out of Game of Thrones, which is how dirty and creepy he looks. And you see actual scenes of him going through the woods with what could have been looked as a shillelagh and beating the ever-loving snot out of people. It doesn't say whether they're believers. You have to go on Kirk Cameron's good faith, pun intended, that this is what's happening. That he is beating up people for not believing, which could easily be implied that atheists and agnostics and people who aren't 100% Christian should get beat within an inch of their lives just because of that, and because of giving presents to their kids. To that final argument wins over his brother-in-law to the point his actual words were, "Whoa, Santa's the man." And that ends the first and second act. Now, before I go into Act 3, I want to talk about what's been going on behind the scenes. And this is actually why I brought up the mug thing. DeAndre, one of the other minor characters with his really creepy-looking, pedophile softcore porn sweater, and some other guy with an untucked shirt, an equally ugly porn sweater, are sitting down on the couch. And Andre's like, "Yeah, man, it's Christmas, even though Job took away Crazy Shirt Friday." And his buddy or colleague, I don't know, as far as I can tell, they all work for the same company. They all work on the same floor together. A little bit too Stepford Wife-ish for me. And this is when he talks about, and once again, his words, not mine. 3 words, man. War on terror. And he is so paranoid that somebody's going to be watching them talk and reading lips that he literally says, "Mugs up, man." So for about 2 or 3 to 5 minutes, maybe even longer, DeAndre's buddy starts talking about the war on terror, then talking into his hot chocolate mug so nobody can read his lips. And it's not just talking about non-religious people with capitalism. He starts talking about Area 51, Area 52. He starts talking about... Then somehow he talks and going into his words, Asperger's, that segues into hamburgers, and all these conspiracy theories that pretty much would give Alex Jones a wet dream every night just listening to him. Actually, Alex Jones, go to that scene and watch it. You will be the happiest man talking about these conspiracy theories that have nothing to do with each other. One big, gigantic, just Gainax and noodle incident that somehow ties back into the war on Christmas. When has there ever been a war on Christmas? whatever, I'm overanalyzing things, but just the way they're talking to each other, all wide-eyed and looking around nervously and talking to their coffee mugs like someone's gonna read their lips, even though the viewers can hear every single word. You cannot actually think for 1 second. Even the most devout of Christians is gonna start going off and talking about Area 52 and burgers and pink slime and food incidents. How is this all tying together? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And that was probably my favorite part of the movie, just because I'm thinking, well, there is a break for something completely different. But, okay, so all this has been going on, all these weird little scenes and vignettes throughout it, and here comes Act 3. Door busts open, Christian's staring at the tree, he's looking around the little kids who are looking at him like they just saw a ghost. So what does he do? He does a belly slide across the tiled floor and just lands headlong into the Christmas tree and the pile of presents, and the party erupts. But it doesn't end there. He then jumps into creepy pedophile Santa Claus's lap to pose for a picture, and the party begins anew. Is this the end of the movie? No. This is when I'm talking about the last act. The last 30 minutes is a gigantic hip-hop party to Family Force 5's Angels We Have Heard on High, and the God Squad gets down and dirty. Hell yeah, get down with the get down, God Squad! And that's, God Squad was DeAndre's words. I am nowhere near creative or weird enough to actually come up with that description. So there's line dancing. There's all sorts of weird breakdancing. Christian is breakdancing, doing some weird little head spin. And then towards the very end, you see Kirk Cameron doing the worm. Oh yeah, I'm sure that clip's on YouTube somewhere. And then it cuts to the credits. I had a lot of fun watching this movie just because I didn't know what to expect next. It definitely, I can't call it awesomely bad, because let's face it, I love awesomely bad movies, and that would be just a slap in the face to Godfrey Ho and to Krampus and Silent Night, Deadly Night and blah 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 blah. But this was over the top bad, and you're gonna stop following me on YouTube by saying this, but honestly, you should just watch it for no other reason that you can just go, oh my god, what the hell did I just watch? Don't spend money on it. Just look for a cracked copy on YouTube, or I think it's free on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime, so you can just skip around throughout it if you really want to. But it was just hilarious, and once again, I just thought that, wow, this is the future of Christploitation movies. If there's a Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas for every propaganda piece like God's Not Dead, or Second Glance, or Old Fashioned, or anything like that, please, Kirk, keep coming out with this stupid bullshit, please. But anyway, so we survived Purgatory, which means Paradise is coming up, and that is something we've been talking about for a while now. The titular Jesus Bro, which will be coming up this week. But anyways, so that being said, hope you liked the review. Let me know in the comments below. But other than that, y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side, alright? Peace.